A&M versus LSU. Styles make fights. Great offense versus great defense. Bad defense versus bad offense. Very intriguing matchup. Very unbalanced matchup. And it's the last game of the regular season. Can you believe the college football season went by this quickly? Every single year it feels like we're just getting started and it's coming to an end. But we got one more to break down. It's a game that, going into the year, I actually predicted that A&M would win. But now that we've seen things unfold, we have the big picture. I don't know if I'm going to stay true to that prediction. So I'm going to break down this matchup, talk about LSU, talk about Texas A&M, some matchups to watch, what the pressure points of this game are, and at the end, I'll give you my score prediction. So make sure you guys like and subscribe if you like this kind of college football and Texas A&M content, and let's get right into this game. All right, so for all of my fellow Aggies watching this video, we have to be honest about something. LSU has an absolutely amazing offense. It's nothing to scoff at. It's absolutely real. It's more than just numbers. You look at the numbers, I believe Jayden Daniels has around 3,500 yards passing, over 1,000 yards rushing on the year. That's great. That's fun. But what's really impressive is that they're not turning the ball over while doing that. I believe they only have 7 total turnovers on the year with this high-powered, air-it-out offense that features Jayden Daniels, who quite frankly is a pretty scrawny quarterback, and he takes big hits, but he takes care of the ball. It's very impressive. Some people compare this offense to the Joe Burrow 2019 offense. I wouldn't go that far because that team was winning all of their games, and LSU does have 3 losses on the year. They had a better defense back then. But this offense is really damn good. Jayden Daniels gives me a little bit of Lamar Jackson vibes. Is that too far to go? I mean, he's in the running for the Heisman. There's nothing on the field he can't do. His deep ball is amazing. He takes what's given. He fits the ball into small windows, and he is by far their most effective rusher. They have a good rushing attack, and like I said, it's headlined by him. All of their other running backs are solid, though. Diggs was their main back. He's been hurt. He should be back this game. The worst yards per carry back that they have in the rotation is 4.9 yards. The offensive line absolutely sets this running game up well. They're in the running for the Joe Moore Award. They're a finalist. It's a great offensive line, and a quarterback like Jayden Daniels makes them look even better. Talk about their receivers. They have 3 really good ones. Obviously, Malik Neighbors, we all knew going into the year that he was going to be a superstar. He's probably going to win the Blitnikoff. To me, it's kind of surprising that Marvin Harrison is in Heisman conversations and Malik Neighbors isn't. I guess it's because Ohio State is still in the running for the college football playoff. But Malik Neighbors, he's freaking good, man. It's ridiculous. We all know. We Aggies know exactly what he can bring to the table. But what surprised me is the level of play from Brian Thomas. He's over 1,000 yards receiving. He's really good. And Kyron Lacey, not going to blow you away with his numbers, but he will blow you away with what he can do on the field. He's the 3rd option at receiver, but he's really freaking good. He can make guys miss. All these receivers are lethal in the open field, lethal catching the ball, and Jayden Daniels sets them up perfectly. It's as perfect as an offense you're going to see this year. I mean, I don't mean to gush over it that much, but I just want we Aggies to be ready for it and to understand what we're going up against. Now let's talk about Texas A&M's defense going up against this offense. It is no secret that A&M has struggled against good passing attacks. Think about Miami. Not a good passing attack, but they looked like it against A&M. Alabama, you made Jalen Milroe look like a Heisman contender, which he actually ended up being like a fringe Heisman contender. But, you know, A&M let him get started with that a little bit earlier than we would have wished on the year. Because we always knew it would take Milroe some time to get up to speed. But he looked like a Heisman contender versus A&M. But they were picking on a couple of guys in those matchups. Versus Miami, I will not deny that the secondary overall was an absolute mess. Versus Alabama, they picked on Josh DeBerry. And if you don't know who Josh DeBerry is, he's a transfer nickel/safety out of Boston College who was playing true corner at Texas A&M. And he was clearly out of position. Great at tackling, great defending the short field, but awful in deep coverage. He has now moved into his more natural position, and Tyreek Chappell and Deuce Harmon are manning the corner positions. We've never had issues with Tyreek Chappell. Maybe he hasn't blown you away, but oftentimes under the radar corners are some of the best corners, the ones whose names you don't see very often, because those are the ones that aren't getting targeted. So Tyreek Chappell, more than serviceable. I don't think any Aggie has an issue with the corner that is Tyreek Chappell. He's a 3-year starter. He's a junior. He's a solid player. But the revelation for this secondary, in my opinion, has been Deuce Harmon. He started in the Tennessee game. That was the game where they made the shift. And since then, I would argue that this secondary has been underrated. And I know they haven't gone against the best passing attacks, but they have absolutely passed the eye test and look much more promising than they did earlier in the year. And keep in mind, versus Ole Miss, a team that was able to pass on A&M recently, both Tyreek Chappelle and Deuce Harmon didn't play that game, and they picked on the young corners that were in their place. Obviously, Texas A&M has some solid safeties and nickels. Bryce Anderson, he's poised to be an absolute superstar come his junior year next year. He's playing inside. He's playing nickel/star. He's getting in on the running game. He's active. He's in every play. Jared Kerr is a guy that I like to highlight, number 33, the safety for Texas A&M. He's a laser. He's a dart to the ball. He's getting better and better. He's had a lot of experience. So in my opinion, these receivers versus these corners, it's by far the most intriguing matchup of the day. These are electric receivers versus what most would consider struggling secondary. So I look for this secondary to have the opportunity to make a name for themselves going into next year. All of them are going to be back except for Damani Richardson, who is a fifth-year senior. But Jacoby Matthews is another safety who's been playing for Texas A&M this year, who's been solid, who was hurt versus Abilene Christian. That's why Jared Kerr's been getting more of a look. So that safety room's looking deep. The nickels are looking great. And I think these two corners have a chance to make some noise this weekend. But it's a tough ask. It's a tough test. I think even in the best scenarios for this secondary, LSU is still putting up really respectable numbers. Like I said, Joe Moore, finalist offensive line. Texas A&M has one of the best defensive lines in the country. That's no secret. One of the best linebackers, if not the best linebacker in the country, if not the best defensive player in the country, and Edgerrin Cooper. This defense versus this offense, it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be interesting to see what gives. It's going to be super fun to watch. Now we have to transfer over to the uglier side of both teams. LSU's defense is really bad. I don't think any LSU fan would dispute that. I think it's been frustratingly bad. The only defense that is worse by statistics in the SEC is Vanderbilt. That's pretty shocking. I think they're rated 103rd in the country by yards per game. It has a lot of names. It has a lot of athletes. Obviously, we all know how LSU recruits. I mean, Harold Perkins was poised to be maybe the best football player in the country this year, and he's moved positions to more of a middle linebacker, less of an edge rusher, and he's kind of taken a back seat to some other guys. It's just been really weird to see their defense struggle this year. And it seems like in the games that they've lost, they've kind of gotten worse over the course of the game. You think about the FSU game, they were able to extend the lead late in the game. You think about Ole Miss, that was just a shootout in general. And in the Alabama game, Alabama was the one that pushed through in the end. And of course, LSU had their quarterback knocked out of the game that game, but still the defense gave up more points later in the game. Now, A&M is rated 50th in overall offense this season, which to me is surprising. It hasn't felt like that throughout most of the year, especially in the big games, Alabama, Tennessee. Those two games, A&M's offense mightily struggled. Second half versus Arkansas, the offense absolutely sputtered. But in recent games, A&M's offense has found a little bit of success, starting with that Ole Miss game. And what I believe that success stemmed from was just more solid offensive line play. Solid in run blocking, solid in pass pro. Now, we did see that break down in the most recent game versus Abilene Christian. Very slow start to that game. Offense, you're going to hate this word, Aggies, wasn't executing early in this game, especially in protection and in run blocking. But as that game went on, they got more solid. I think if A&M's offense can pick up where they left off versus Mississippi State and Ole Miss, where the offensive line played well enough to score over 30 points in each game and 52 versus Mississippi State, I think A&M's offense has a chance to put up numbers versus LSU's defense. Now, the big wild card here for A&M is this is Jaylen Henderson's first road start as a college quarterback. Forget SEC road start. This is his first ever road start as a starting quarterback at A&M. So this is a major test for that young guy. He's looked pretty dang impressive in his two starts this year. You know, versus Mississippi State, he didn't blow us away with numbers, but what he blew us away with, and something that Max Johnson wasn't doing before him, is just taking what was given, taking the layup, making the easy check down pass, finding the soft spots in the defense, decisively tucking it in and running when the defense presented that for him. That's what we loved from Jaylen Henderson, and with the tools around him, that can work because you have your Evan Stewarts, you have your Noah Thomas, you have your Moose Muhammad, you have your Aniyah Smith. So I think that's going to be the make or break right there. How can this quarterback bring that success to Death Valley? This game's at 11 a.m., and I know everybody who's watching this game wishes that was a night game, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. We're all drinking our beers. We're on the patio. We're in the living room. We're watching the game with family. Late at night, you know, it's buzzing. The atmosphere is awesome. You're at the game. Amazing night game at Death Valley. We don't get that this year, which I think sucks. This game should always be at night. Is this a rivalry game? I don't know. I mean, I made a shirt for this game, so obviously I'm kind of obsessed with this game. It's been back and forth the last 6 years. So it's going to come down to A&M's offensive line and A&M's quarterback to see if A&M has a chance in this game. Because I have a feeling, regardless of how good A&M's defense is, LSU is going to put points on the board. They're that good. Jayden Daniels is that good. I think this is a very intriguing matchup. Not the top 10 matchup that both A&M and LSU fans alike had hoped for going into this year, but an amazing, intriguing matchup nonetheless. And I would go as far to say this, and tell me if this is too bold. Jayden Daniels may have a Heisman on the line this game. You lose 4 regular season games. I don't know how the voters are going to feel about that in New York. You feel like maybe a Bo Nix gets the edge if LSU has 4 losses and Oregon finishes the year with a big win versus Oregon State. That's a big factor in this game because you can tell they're campaigning for Jayden Daniels. The way Brian Kelly's been talking about him, the way they kind of leave him in games a little bit longer, and I don't know if there's anything to that. With Georgia State last week, they did leave him in the game for a little bit longer, let him keep passing, which is great. I mean, I'm for that. I'm advocating for my guy if I can. So he might have an extra edge about him this game just to get over that hump. But A&M has a great chance to play spoiler for LSU yet again. Revenge factor on LSU's side of things, because you remember last year, LSU had a very overachieving, promising first year under Brian Kelly, and A&M kind of ruined that parade late in the year with that late November win. So with that, I'm going to give you guys my score prediction. Like I said, going into the year, my lottery pick, my shot-in-the-dark guess was that this is the year that A&M gets it done in Death Valley. And do I stick with that? I've been going back and forth. And you know what? I'm not. I'm going to give the edge to LSU just because of the youth of Texas A&M's quarterback. I think this A&M offense has a chance to go out and put up some numbers. But I just think this LSU offense is going to be a little bit too much for this offense of Texas A&M to keep up with. So my final score is going to be 38-31 LSU. So guys, do you agree with my score? Do you agree with my breakdown? What are your comments on this game? What's your score prediction? Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys after the game. And I'll see you guys for my Wednesday call-in show, 8 p.m. Central Time. We have a lot of fun there. Call in, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, and gig 'em.